Oh, hamstring. Up. Sniper, take the other picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you can formulate opinions without having true facts.
I'm telling you, think about it logically for just a second.
Dear Reds fans,
Welcome back to the Zebra Zillionaires. It was a tough one yesterday.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
hello and welcome to Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman, the host of this lovely program. Is feeling a little bit under the weather, so we wish the best to Tom. Hopefully he feels good enough to be back in the saddle tomorrow. If you're in the chat, please wish Tom the best. I'm sure he's watching. I'm sure he's seeing all those lovely messages. I'm Nicholas Reid Mouse, and when I was in 5th grade, my teacher, Miss Wirtz, she pulled me aside and said, "Reid, out of all the students I've had, if I was gonna have one, just one, make it to be famous, make it an entertainment, it'd be you." So I didn't cry. I didn't wipe a tear. I didn't go storm a basketball court. I got to work. And on January 18th in the year of our Lord 2024, I fulfilled that prophecy to Mrs. Wirtz because in front of the cast of thousands and hundreds of thousands, I'm hosting Off the Bench, which of course is sponsored by United Dairy Farmers. We come your way every day, 10
Hey.
to 12.
Pete.
Get on YouTube and search Chatterbox Sports. Casey, are we broadcasting on X?
Yes.
Good. Well, if you're here, you're dialed in. At 10:30 today, Nick Kirby will join the show as the Chatterbox Crew will do a fun little snake draft, which will take our favorite MLB jerseys. We haven't fully fledged out how that draft is going to work, so we'll do as Bill O'Reilly says. We'll just do it live. We'll do it live. We'll talk a lot about the divisional round in the NFL today, as I have ranked the 8 remaining teams. These guys will surely tear us apart. We'll do a buy or sell. We'll hear from the youth of America with Elliot's mailbag. We'll just unload the clip with all the segments today as we try to entertain our viewers for the next few hours. And boy, did I come prepared today. In fact, even wrote a little bit of a monologue. You see my eyes looking up at the screen to read the monologue. Elliot and I, we put our heads together. We tried to incorporate some thoughtful discussion mixed in with a cornucopia of jokes. In fact, we're going to start off this show with a discussion on how to properly maintain your emotions at a sporting event. Pause for laughter. All right. Now let's get into the NFL, guys. Before we do that, Casey McAllister, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Reid Mouse. I'm doing great. How are you?
That's good. I feel like I'm yelling. I'm very much.
You are putting on your best Tom Brenneman performance.
I'm doing my best. I'm
Sometimes
yelling.
once you get up there, you start yelling, and that's okay. We have no shame for when you get up there and yell. I yell too when I talk into this mic.
We do. You know what I also noticed about when you're up on this thing?
What?
You like sit like it's funny.
I like being down low. Everybody else likes to be up top. I like to scoot the chair all the way down and just have a good old time. Be comfortable. Why not be comfortable?
Be comfortable. Lindsay, what do you got for the monologue?
It's a beautiful day today, this Thursday.
It is. Yes, it is. Speaking of which, guys, a lot was made about how cold the studio is yesterday. How cold it is. So what did I do? As I'm the boss, while our real bosses are out and away, I took care of business. And I went out, and not only did I make it 20 degrees warmer outside, I went out and I took care of my guys. I made sure that this room would be nice and warm. Lindsay, turn around and show, pick up that heater and show everyone what I did. Well, can we get it? Look at that. Look at that. Because I'm such a gracious boss, I went out and I bought everyone. Well, I bought one heater for this entire studio.
For this entire room, and you can really feel it over on this side of the room, which is about roughly 20 feet from that little tiny baby heater that was placed over there by Lindsay, not by Elliot, who's freezing very cold over here. But it is warmer. It's warmer because it's warmer outside, and I think that's the key here.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
It is. It actually is much better than it has been.
It's fantastic over here.
Feels fantastic. Well, there's a button underneath it. So
it stopped working.
Yep. See, that's a fail-safe. That's the proper engineering of America. That's what we do here in the United States of America. We argue with each other, and we make great products sometimes. Guys, we're going to talk about the NFL. In the second hour, we're going to do a lot of segments centered around the divisional games. There's a lot of good games this week. Obviously, the one that's highly marqueed is the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I think there's also some other good games. I think the Texans-Ravens has a chance. I think there's two teams that are going to be double-digit underdogs that I think both have somewhat of a shot to upset. They're good teams. Don't let those spreads fool you. And also, I think we might be sleeping on the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Detroit Lions game. That game, though it doesn't have, the panache of Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes because it's Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, I think that game has the makings to be very, very fun. But I think the biggest news in the National Football League is something that we've really tried to wrap our brains, our arms around over the past couple of days, and that is what in the heck is going to happen in Dallas? What the heck is going to happen in Philadelphia? If you remember the weeks coming into the postseason, there was a lot of noise about what was going to happen to those coaches, Mike McCarthy and Nick Sirianni. And pretty much the consensus was if their teams do not perform in the postseason, smell you later. You're gone. In fact, Jerry Jones went on his radio show and was talking about potential new head coaches. There was stories coming out from journalists in Philadelphia saying that if the Eagles lose to the Bucks in the wild card round, that Sirianni is gone. And here we sit on Thursday, and both have been assured that they're going to keep their jobs. Now, I get on X.com, or as Tom says, X. I get on X.com, and I see a lot of people talking about Mike McCarthy staying. And he's the one that doesn't surprise me as much as Philadelphia. Because I think what happened with Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles team is infinitely, is way worse than what happened to the Dallas Cowboys. I will even go a step further. And I will say that the way that the Eagles lost to the Bucks is worse than the way that the Cowboys lost to the Packers. Not by much. Sure, it was more jarring to see the Packers, who got into the playoffs in the last week, go up 27-0 in Jerry World. But the Eagles, they just straight up no-showed. Like, straight up no-showed. Didn't want to be there. It was evident. Like, the Cowboys just played bad. Might have gotten out-coached. Might have had all these things. Packers, I think, have a better quarterback than Dak. But the Eagles, for the last 7 weeks, I've never seen that. Truly. I don't know if we ever have seen that in the National Football League. A team that looked as dominant as the Philadelphia Eagles did last year. They go to the Super Bowl. They lose to the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes in one of the best games that we've seen to mark off the year in quite some time. Fantastic game. And they come into this year, high expectations. Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate last year. This defense, which really was the market of the team, right? Everyone talked about how good their defense was, and then everyone applauded their draft. This Eagles team's going to be unstoppable. And what did they do for the first 12 weeks? They went 10-1. Now, a lot of close games, but they still beat good teams. 10-1. This team looked surefire to head back to the Super Bowl. Who was going to stop the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC? Was it going to be the Cowboys, who we saw what happened to them? And we've seen what happened with the Cowboys over the past few years. Fraud. No one really took them serious. And then the 49ers, right about this time, were on a 3-game losing streak because they looked unstoppable for the first 5 weeks. But then they lose to the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Minnesota Vikings in back-to-back weeks. We're like, well, I mean, they got Brock Purdy. If their left tackle's hurt, they're not very good. So we'll just stay the course. This Philadelphia Eagles team, I mean, go ahead and put them in Las Vegas. And they go 1-6 over their last 7 games. 1-6. And not only do they go 1-6, but there's discord in the locker room. Their defense is giving up 30-plus points a game to the New York Football Giants? This is a city in Philadelphia that's, dare I say, they're going a little soft. They're growing a soft heart because this is a team that moved off Doug Peterson, who won this franchise their first ever Super Bowl. They moved off him just a couple years later. They moved off Andy Reid after doing nothing but take this team to the NFC Championship, after doing nothing but take this team to playoff after playoff. And yeah, it might have been Andy Reid's time to go. It had gotten a little stale. But they're going to stick with Nick Sirianni after the complete implosion that the Philadelphia Eagles say. And they go, well, if you just get rid of the coordinators, everything will be fine. I can't believe it. I thought Nick Sirianni's job was done even if he beat Tampa Bay. Now, I also thought Mike McCarthy, I thought he was done. But I've seen Jerry be loyal at times. Like Jerry, say what you want about Jerry Jones, he is loyal, almost to a fault. He's done it with Dak Prescott. I mean, he might extend Dak Prescott. And I think we've seen what happens there. But man, guys, as I open it up, is it not surprising not only that one of them is staying, that both of them staying?
I'm not surprised that Sirianni's staying. I think Sirianni,
Really?
I disagree with you a little bit. At some point, and again, Philadelphia is one of those sports towns where it's like New York, it's like Chicago, where the fans are going to be relentless, especially if you do what they just did this season, and that is choke away a 10-1 record. To finish the season with a negative point differential, they finished with a negative 13 point differential on the season. That's preposterous. Saying all that, Nick Sirianni, I do think he's a good coach. I think he's proven that. He's established himself as a good coach. I have a hard time believing it fixes the culture, the atmosphere, whatever you want to say of the locker room if you keep firing head coaches after one bad season. And this one bad season is still a playoff caliber team. It was an injured Jalen Hurts. And it was a defense that was clearly battered. I don't know what the hell was wrong with the defense all season long. But towards the back half, it was a disaster. It was one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Maybe the worst defense in the NFL. So I wouldn't blame Nick Sirianni for everything. I think that he has to answer for some of the play, but not all of it. I think you keep Nick Sirianni for next year, and we'll see what happens. I think the biggest question, and people have been talking about this on X.com, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is the guy anymore. Is Jalen Hurts the guy? We can talk about Nick Sirianni all day long, but Jalen Hurts clearly all season he had a turnover problem. Josh Allen, he's the explosive guy. He throws 3 picks a game, has a couple fumbles. Jalen Hurts was horrible on the turnover side of the ball this year. And is it time to say that Alabama quarterbacks just don't pan out in the NFL? Alabama quarterbacks don't work. Tua, you've seen it with Tua this year. I don't believe in Tua. You can't convince me Tua's a good quarterback. You can't do it. Well, I think Jalen Hurts, who I loved coming into this year, and I still think he's a top 15 quarterback, but is Jalen Hurts the problem? You've seen A.J. Brown screaming at him in the locker room, allegedly. So we don't know. Go ahead, Casey.
How incredibly disrespectful to Kenny Stabler, Bart Starr, and Joe Namath to say that the Alabama, I'm kidding, those guys played back in the 60s. Casey?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on the same train that you're on. I think Jalen Hurts is not developing the way that they had hoped. And that sounds really silly when he had the numbers that he had. But you look at how much the coaching staff helped him last year, how much Jason Kelce helped him out and just calling out protections. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember that clip where Jason Kelce was like almost frustrated with him in the middle of a game trying to call out protection. He's like, no, you're wrong. And he overrules Jalen Hurts in the protection calls, gets it right. They're only going to be getting worse now with that retirement at the offensive line. I think the offensive line took a step back, which had something to do with some of their issues. And this, on top of all that, too, they lost Brandon Graham on the defense, which I think was a lot bigger than they had imagined. He was the leader of that team. They also lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a enforcer in the secondary, which I think was another big reason why they struggled so much in the secondary. I'm not going to say that they weren't the same team as they were, last year during their Super Bowl run or the 10, 11 weeks that they were 10-1, but they lost something, and I feel like it was leadership. And I think that leadership really was missing, and that's the reason why they lost so many games towards the back stretch, because they didn't have a guy to pull them out.
So you're blaming the coach?
I am kind of blaming the coach, yeah.
I don't know who else you blame, because it was incredibly apparent that the thing just came crumbling down. And I see Mr. Moan, he's got a valid point. He's saying in the chat, he said, so Reid's saying that if you make the Super Bowl and have a bad year next year, your coach should be fired. I'm not saying that. Yeah, that's what's going on. But what I'm saying is when a coach is so evidently in over his head, as I believe Nick Sirianni is, when a coach is so evidently unable to control the extenuating circumstances around the team, then that's why Sirianni, in my opinion, should lose his job. I've never seen what happened to the Philadelphia Eagles. I've never seen it before in the NFL. They were 10-1. They went over, what was their record last year? I think they went 13-4. Actually, I believe they went 14-3. So over a 28-game stretch, they were 24-4. And it completely fell apart. Not kind of fell apart. Not competing to the end. Completely fell apart. They were going 70 miles on the highway, and the wheels evaporated, and they started running on the ground like a Flintstones cartoon. It's the second day in a row we brought up the Flintstones.
That's good. We'll see if we can do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll. What's the other one? The Jetsons, the future one.
Okay.
Get some more Hanna-Barbera. But I have not seen anything like this. And what happened on Sunday, and I know we're splitting hairs here on who looked worse between the Cowboys or the Eagles. And I know I brought that up to bolster my point, but what does it matter? They both look terrible. I just hate when a team gives up. And when a team gives up, that's not on the players. I know the players are the ones who play. But good coaches, solid coaches, don't have players give up. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles did. Now, as for Mike McCarthy, his head's on the chopping block, or was, from public opinion. Not so much from Jerry Jones, because they held on to him. But I want to show you guys something. And I know you know that he's been a successful coach in the NFL, but I want to show you just how successful he's been. Casey, look at these records. That is Mike McCarthy's record compared to Mike Tomlin, compared to John Harbaugh, compared to Sean Payton. Now, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, and Sean Payton are all presumably going to have a bust in Canton, Ohio one day. And Mike McCarthy has almost to a T the exact same record. Same amount of regular season wins, same amount of regular season losses, same amount of playoff wins, and one Super Bowl to bolster. Now, you could argue Mike McCarthy has had the best quarterback out of those guys. I would argue that Aaron Rodgers is better than Drew Brees. We're splitting hairs there. And they have all had great quarterbacks. Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson. Big Ben Roethlisberger for Mike Tomlin. Aaron Rodgers. Dak Prescott's okay. And then Sean Payton with Drew Brees. And I was in favor of Mike McCarthy probably just... It was probably the end of his run in Dallas, right? You got to mix something up. But that's what bolsters my opinion that I think it's ridiculous that both are losing, or both are staying, presumably. There's still some conflicting reports about Nick Sirianni. But it seems like he's going to be in Philadelphia next year. But Mike McCarthy's been a very good coach for years, for over a decade. Now, I think that he probably should have lost it, but it doesn't... Him keeping his job feels better than Nick Sirianni to me.
Let me ask you this. What is the real difference between Nick Sirianni and Zach Taylor in terms of what they've done? Obviously, there's 1 year more of Zach Taylor, but a Super Bowl and then a down year. A Super Bowl and AFC Championship, Bengals down year. Very similar, no?
What happened when the Cincinnati Bengals lost their best player this year in Joe Burrow? What happened? We brought in Jake Browning,
Yeah.
playing one of the toughest schedules in league history. This team fought to the very end. And what did they do on the last week of the year? Granted, playing some scrubs up there in Cleveland, playing Cleveland's second and third and fourth team. What did they do? They played their ass off. They played hard. I didn't see an ounce of fight in the Philadelphia Eagles for the second half of the year. That's, you can bring up the records, you can bring up the accolades, you can do all of that. But when you lose the team, when your team isn't wanting to compete for you, and there's some reports saying that players are coming out in support of Nick Sirianni. But my eyes are seeing what my eyes are seeing. On the sideline, Dallas Goedert's getting in Jalen Hurts. Their secondary is leaving guys wide. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers catch a few balls, that game's 27-0 too at half. The Eagles quit on my man. And that can't happen. That cannot happen. There's no reason, absolutely none, that the Philadelphia Eagles should have ended their season like they did. Zero. Zilch. We're talking about one game for Mike McCarthy in the wild card round, losing to the Green Bay Packers where they get blown out. I'm talking about an entire half of the season of football. We all know the NFL really doesn't, it really kicks into gear after college football subsides, right around Thanksgiving, right? That's when all the eyes, like you care about the NFL, obviously, up until that point. But after Thanksgiving, that's when things get real. That's when teams are making playoff pushes. That's where you separate the frauds and the teams that are for real. And the Philadelphia Eagles down the stretch didn't do a single thing right. Not a single thing. And you guys are right. Lost both coordinators, sure. But I just keep thinking about, in my years of youth athletics, in my years, my brother's a college coach. My dad coached for decades. Been around sports, obviously. Not claiming that I've been at a high level, been around it at a high level, but you go around sports and themes hold the same. When the team doesn't want to play for you, things fall apart. And I think that's what happened in Philadelphia. And that's what I'm being surprised. Now he has every opportunity if Nick Sirianni comes out next year. He's still got a great team. I think there are questions about Jalen Hurts, but they're not going to do anything with Jalen Hurts. He's there. He's their guy going forward. So you got a pretty good quarterback. You play in a lackluster division. I know the Cowboys are in it. They play in the worst conference.
Yeah, 4 games are winnable.
So they could come right on out, be 13-4 next year, and be the team. And you know what? I'll come in here, crack an egg, put it on my face. But at this point, it seems like Nick Sirianni's in way over his head, and I don't think this situation will get worse before it gets better. Casey, any final thoughts? Any points, Casey? Any points?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of spot on with that. I think that there's a leadership issue in Philadelphia.
Culture issue.
It's
about the culture.
There's too much evidence that suggests like there's bickering. There's the clip with Sirianni like trying to aggravate the opposing fans and Jalen Hurts like moving his hand down, like trying to be the bigger man, the more mature guy in the locker room sort of vibe. Yeah, I don't like their situation as of right now. And it's not even just like the stuff that we've seen. There's reports of like some of the players not being in good shape, like Jalen Carter being overweight and unhealthy. Like there's just too much that suggests that this team was just not being they weren't all in. And I think you're spot on. I think Nick Sirianni might be way in over his head.
Does it surprise you that one of them's keeping their jobs or both of them's keeping their job, or does this not surprise you whatsoever?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, they they made it to the playoffs. The one that surprised me the most is probably Mike. Sirianni just was in the Super Bowl last year, and I get the idea of them falling apart. I would still give it one more year to see if he can figure it out. I mean, maybe it's just one guy. And like, we don't know. We're not in that locker room. It could just be one guy making a stir and making a ruckus and causing the
A.J.
rift.
Brown.
A.J. Brown. I know a lot of people were pointing at him being a diva receiver. I never got that vibe from him in Tennessee, so I don't know what happened with him going to Philadelphia. But maybe it's time for a new change of scenery again. Who knows? I think that there's still a chance that they can figure it out in Philadelphia. They got a great roster. I think we all can recognize that. The Mike McCarthy one, I just feel like if I was Jerry Jones, and I understand that it's probably not the smartest decision, but if I was Jerry Jones, I would want some surefire, I've got to go win, right? I don't have a lot of time left. Mike may or may not be the best candidate, and we already discussed how this is probably one of the best coaching candidacies, crop of coaches that we've had in a very long time. I would just take my chance at another guy maybe. And the same thing with Dak. Like, I feel like the pair of them will only get you so far. And they've shown you that time and time again. Like, at some point, they got rid of their previous head coach who does NBC stuff now.
Jason
Garrett. They pointed it out being, it's a coaching problem. Well, now it's starting to feel more like a player issue to me. And at some point, maybe they look at moving on from Dak, but I doubt they do that either. So I don't know. I don't know why there's no movement. There's not even like a defensive coordinator firing. Like, Dan Quinn gave up 48 points in the playoffs. His defense gave up a ton of points. Well, actually more like 35 with that pick six or whatever.
Right.
But you get my point. There's no change, and it just seems that doesn't seem like an all-in trying to win a Super Bowl move.
I think Mike Greenberg tweeted out the famous Albert Einstein quote when he heard about this news, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting change. And I think that does play for the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to have a very tough situation with Dak Prescott. I believe his contract is due up next year. What do you do with Dak Prescott? It seems silly to think that he's gonna want $55 million. It seems ludicrous to give him that much money. But then again, what do you do? And the final thing I'll say before we get into our draft of MLB jerseys is this isn't a year that I'm not saying this, that both teams needed to get rid of their coaches in a year in which there wasn't a slew of great candidates. We're talking about Jim Harbaugh being up for grabs. Bill Belichick, who, I mean, I know I've had some takes about that. But Mike Vrabel. You telling me Mike Vrabel wouldn't be a better option in both Philadelphia and Dallas than what they've got? It just seems short-sighted. And for once, Jerry Jones is being loyal almost to a fault. But we welcome in Nick Kirby. Nick, look at you rocking your Cleveland Cavs gear. You don't know this about Nick. You know, I know you know him from the baseball stuff, but Nick is a huge hoops guy. He's a big hoops guy, and he's on the right side of the Cincinnati college basketball teams.
No, absolutely. How we doing today, fellas?
Doing well. I called Kirby up. Tom brought us in this morning and said, hey, I'm not going to make it in. I'm feeling under the weather. That's why you have me. And I said, hey, Kirby, we've got to unload the clip. We've got to do all the segments we can. Can you come on for a couple of minutes? And we'll draft some MLB jerseys. Sounds like a fun little segment. But debuting after this show, you have an interview. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, I interviewed Jacob Hurtubise a couple days ago. Really cool story. He played college baseball at Army. Went undrafted. Reds signed him, and he had just an incredible year last year. AAA, he had an on-base percentage over 500. So just a really cool interview, really down-to-earth guy. I think a lot of Reds fans are really going to become a Jacob Hurtubise fan after this interview.
All right, good. That will debut after Off the Bench today. It'll be in our videos. We'll redirect you at the end of this show, so just stay put, and you'll see Kirby interviewing him. Nick, thank you as always. I mentioned in the monologue that we didn't flesh this out. Listen, you're new to Chatterbox, but anytime that someone comes onto Chatterbox, I tell them the same thing. Listen, we just fly by the seat of our pants. We don't know what we're gonna do, and today we didn't know what we were gonna do. And we said, hey, we're just gonna fledge out this draft. We did it with our boss Trace Fowler about a month ago towards Christmas movies. We're gonna do it today with MLB jerseys. So as always, thank you for joining here. I hope you're ready for whatever we're gonna fledge through here.
I did do about 150 shows with Trace Fowler last year, so I do feel pretty prepared for this type of moment.
All right, fair enough. All right, guys. When
Let's
I
go.
say we haven't fledged it out, Casey wants to do some producing. So Casey, get us some production.
Draft. Die. Draft. Die. Draft. Draft. Die. 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 Draft. Draft. Die. 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 Draft. Or die.
All right, so here.
Intense.
Did you like that? Did you
was
like
great.
that, Nick?
Nick, did you know what that segment's from? That's a flashback to early football season. We killed that segment. It was a segment that Trace invented. He said, every week we're going to come in here, we're going to pick two NFL teams. You got to draft them. If they both lose, you die. So we were like, we're coming in here, we're dying? No, he said, you've got to read a monologue that one of us has written without breaking from laughter. And we did it twice, and both times the person broke. Elliot wrote both monologues, and they were poop-related. They're a lot of poop jokes.
They were hilarious.
They were very funny. Then Tom lost Draft or Die, and we didn't have the heart to have him read a monologue filled with poop jokes. So,
and then it was over.
yeah, so
And
we
then
haven't
it was
done it
over.
since. We haven't done it since. So that's what we do. We do it. So here's the question that I want to ask you guys before we get into this. We're each gonna get 4 teams or 4 jerseys that we draft. Are we doing a full set? Like, are you gonna say like I want the Cincinnati Reds jerseys, or are you gonna say I want the Cincinnati Reds City Connect jerseys?
No. Just you get the whole
whole
team's catalog.
Okay. So how are we going to distinguish the order here?
Well, I think since Nick is the guest, he can be first, and we'll go by most handsome in the office. So I'll go second, and then Casey, and then Reid.
That plays. That plays. All right, Kirby. So this is what we're going to do. You are going to pick first. You get to pick an MLB team's jersey. And then it's going to go Elliot, Casey, me. I pick twice. And then we come back, and then you pick twice. And we each get 4 jerseys that we get to pick from. We're then going to tweet out who's got the best jerseys after the show. And we'll see who wins. So without further ado, the first pick.
Did you say without first ado?
I don't know. I'm rambling up here. We're doing it as without farther ado. Is that how Trey says it?
Yeah, without farther ado.
Without further ado, we'll have the first pick in the Draft or Die MLB Jersey Edition. Kirby, who you want?
All right, so we're going whole catalog here. So every current jersey, right?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to go maybe a little bit surprising. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox. I love their classic jerseys. I love the whole Fenway Park vibe. Going to Fenway Park, that's the only time I've ever been kind of jealous that I didn't grow up a fan of a team is the Boston Red Sox and everything they got. So I love their classic jerseys, but then I also love their City Connect, that yellow. I like that it's different. It's ties in with their parade. So I'm going Boston Red Sox.
You said that going to Fenway was the first time that you really wanted to root for another team. When you went to Wrigley Field, it didn't do that?
No, it did not in the slightest bit. I've only been to Wrigley once, and Carlos Marmol walked the bases loaded, and the Reds won. So
that sounds like a Carlos Marmol game. Elliot, you had a fun time at Wrigley Field with me.
I had a horrible time, but I've been to Wrigley like 4 times now, so I'm used to the Chicago fans. Sorry, my God, I'm coughing. It was just terrible to have the Reds go up in that game, and the funniest. I need water. The funniest story.
Pahhni.
I do need Pahhni. The funniest story of that game was Reid and I were talking about betting on it, and I said beforehand, man, I should just do Reds money line. It's plus money. I'm gonna feel so good when they win this.
You said like hundreds of dollars, like a huge bet.
And what happened was the Reds took like a 3-1 lead, I think, or 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
And I turned to Reid and I said, "Look what you've done. Look what you've done. I didn't even get to bet on the team." And then about like an inning later, the Cubs poured on 15. So.
You said it's over. I said, dude, it's the second inning. You said it's over.
Oh,
Reid.
well, I
It's
thought so.
over.
I thought so, but that's fine. My first overall pick, the second pick of the draft, it will be the Oakland Athletics. Now, I am a sucker for green. My favorite color is green. And I love the Oakland Athletics new age green jerseys. I absolutely love. I love the little elephant they got there. Now I don't know if they're going to do a complete rebranding when they go to Vegas. I presume they will a little bit, right, Nick? I don't know. But anyway, I like the Oakland Athletics jerseys as it stands this year. The green with a little bit of yellow, love them. I love the white too. The classic Moneyball Oakland Athletic jerseys you see in the movie too.
All right. Casey, you are, without a doubt, the most well-equipped to answer this question. What jersey are you taking in the first round?
Ooh, with what little I know about all the teams' jerseys and just doing some research, I kind of like the Phillies.
That's a good one. The baby blues are great.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now is the baby blues. I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going with the Phillies on this one.
All right, Casey. I was going to try and sneak that in at some point in the later rounds, but you took it right from underneath me. So I get to pick twice, and I there's really no reason to go either way. It's funny, but before I bring this up, Casey, who doesn't know a whole lot about the MLB, I called Kirby. I said, "Hey, you want to draft NFL jerseys?" And he goes, "I know nothing about the NFL." So I said, "All right, we'll do MLB jerseys." I hang up the phone, and Casey looks at me and just goes, "Reid, I don't know anything about MLB jerseys." So there was always going to be someone that was lacking. But my pick, the 4th overall pick, and the final first-round pick, I am taking the best pinstripes in the game. That is my beloved Chicago Cubs jerseys. And the reason I'm taking them is because they're just so clean. I like classic. Their City Connects are great. The Wrigleyville, I own a Wrigleyville jersey. The other jerseys that I want, also pinstripes, they're the classic. They are the mold here in Major League Baseball. I'm taking both pinstripes. Give me the Yankees as well. Give me the New York Yankees. You don't win a lot of championships
I like this pick.
without the pinstripes. So give me the Cubs. Give me the Yankees. That's my first two picks. Casey, we go back to you.
Ooh. You know, I'm going to go with a City Connect jersey that I really, really like. And it's the Houston Astros. I really like their City Connect jerseys, and they might have one of the worst main jerseys in the MLB.
Well, you're getting the entire catalog.
Yeah, I know, but I like
that's a flaw on you.
I like the Astros City Connects that much, so I'm taking them.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, my second pick, again, underrated team, I guess, underrated jersey. People don't like their City Connect. I actually do love it a lot. I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants. I think the Giants have a damn good it gives you the old-time feel. Every once in a while, you think of baseball, you think of America's pastime, and there's a couple teams that make you think of it. The Yankees are one of them, certainly. Any team with pinstripes. But the Giants, that old kind of dusty orange, a little bit they got going on there. What's the tone of our skin here? It's the help me out. Somebody help me out. You know what I'm talking about? When they're at home.
Talk about cream?
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't think of it. My God. But I like the Giants jerseys a lot. I think it's a top 5 jersey in the MLB for sure.
Cream jerseys are sharp. All right, Kirby, we go back to you. You got 2 picks. You took the Boston Red Sox with the first overall. Who are you taking here to round out round number 2 and to begin round number 3?
I gotta say, the Zebras had some pretty good picks. Those were 2 at the top of my list. I love the A's green and yellow hat. I think that's one of the elite hats in baseball. All right, I'm gonna go with the Colorado Rockies.
That was my next pick.
Purple.
They have a lot of different combinations. If you ever play MLB The Show, you can go through like 5 different jerseys on there, and I like all of them. And I like their City Connect. I know they're a little bit polarizing, but I like that they have the mountains. They did something. This didn't do a like I hate like the Orioles did. Like it's just like super plain, boring jersey. Give me the Colorado Rockies. And then the next one, this pains me. It pains me that no one's picked the Reds through 2 rounds. Reds
Well, there's a reason for that.
Reds jerseys suck, other than the City Connect. I'm gonna go with the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, that's just they have elite jerseys all around.
They do.
You got to give.
And you get the baby blue there too.
What's funny about baseball jerseys, and really all sports are like this, that there's a juxtaposition between the old teams, right? The Yankees, the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Giants, the teams that have been there for forever, the Tigers. They have very classic, right? They stick to their jerseys. Then you get these teams, these expansion teams like the Colorado Rockies who joined the MLB in the 90s, the Brewers who joined it in the 60s. They can be fun. The Tampa Bay Rays, they can change their jerseys every year. The Diamondbacks seemingly do it every single year. So they can have a lot of fun. Elliot, we go back to you for the third.
I think there should. By the way, the Reds jerseys. And there's a lot of discussion in the chat about it. The Reds jerseys are a bottom 5 jersey in baseball outside of the City Connect. They are truly terrible. The Reds road grays make me sick. When I watch the Reds on the road and they're wearing those terrible, boring jerseys, I don't even know what I'm cheering for. It's terrible. It's a bottom 5 jersey in the sport. I'd like that to be fixed. But my pick, it will be the White Sox. I really like the Chicago White Sox jerseys.
Yeah, their City Connects are nice too.
I love the black jersey with the pinstripes. I love the City Connect. I love it all. I love everything that has to do with the White Sox. I think it's low key better than the Cubs jerseys. I do think so.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to disagree. A hot take I have about the Reds jerseys. Everyone loves the vest. Hate the vest. I've always hated vest baseball jerseys, but I digress. Casey?
I think I kind of like the Rangers. I kind of like the Rangers jerseys.
Okay.
Actually, can I change it really quickly? I like the Braves. I like the Braves. My bad. I like the Braves jerseys a lot.
What a pick.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. All right, so I get 2 picks. And I've already gone classic. I've already gone Chicago Cubs, New York Yankees. So the question is I've already zigged. Do I zag now? Or do I keep zigging, going on with all the classic jerseys? And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So with the final pick in the 3rd round, I'm going to take the Los Angeles Dodgers jersey. I adore the red numbers on their home jerseys. I adore their white jerseys. They are absolutely phenomenal. So that's what I'm taking at the end of the 3rd round. And to begin the 4th round, similar to how Kirby had to swallow his pride and take someone in the division, a team that he hates, I am going to have to take another classic jersey that has some new feels to it. The worst team in the NL Central, I'm taking the St. Louis Cardinals with my final pick.
Another baby blue pick. I don't hate the Cardinals jerseys.
I love the classic ones are great. When they go baby blue, they're fantastic. So I went all classic jerseys. I went all the, just baseball jerseys, right? Yep. When you think of the sport, you probably think of these 4 teams wearing their jerseys pretty early on. So that's what I went with the final pick of the first pick of the 4th round. Casey, we go back to you with your final pick.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat because I just absolutely love the Reds City Connect jerseys. When I was doing the research for this, I saw that people did not actually like the City Connect jerseys. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I love black and red. I think it's slick.
It's a bad pick. I mean, that's just a bad pick. I can't help you there. And there were like some freakouts over the Reds City Connect jerseys. I think it's by far and away the best jersey we have. It's not close. I agree with Casey on that front. But unfortunately, you get the entire catalog, which means every other jersey that we have, and they're all terrible.
Including their past jerseys.
Do they still wear the Los Rojos jerseys?
Yeah, I think they do. In 19, when Derek Dietrich was on the team, they did all I think it was Reds 100 years or
150
something.
150
years. When they did all the throwback jerseys, that was really cool. They had the cutoff stuff. Honestly, they should just do that every year because the current jerseys we have are nonsense. My 5th and final pick, is that right? No, my 4th pick.
Yes.
4th pick.
This is your final pick. We're only doing 4.
Oh, we're only doing 4?
Correct.
Okay.
We're not doing the entire league.
Well, with 5, 10, 15, 20.
Right. 2/3 of the league.
I will take, and again, I like pinstripes. I'm going to go with the Mets. I really like the Mets. They're my second team. When the Reds are terrible, I always told myself that I just pick another team very similar to success in the Reds. Not a whole lot of postseason triumphs for the New York Mets, but I love their jerseys. I love the blue. I love the pinstripe orange. Love it all. Give it to me. Give me the Mets.
They've been to a World Series in your lifetime.
They have.
They've been to 2 in your lifetime.
They
actually.
have. Yeah, they have.
Can you name the years?
No.
2015, 2000. Kirby, round out this draft. What do you got for us?
Surprised they're still alive. I'm going to wrap it up with the Toronto Blue Jays.
That was my other pick. It was between that and the Mets.
Yeah. All right. So we'll put in the chat. Once again, these are Kirby's 4 picks. He's got the Boston Red Sox, the Colorado Rockies, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll go over to Elliot's. I don't even know who's doing singular. Is it Casey doing singular?
Casey.
I'm doing it.
All right. So Elliot's jerseys, he's got the Oakland Athletics. He's staying over there in California for his first 2 picks. He then went with 2 of my least favorite teams in the Chicago White Sox and the New York Mets. They are to round it out. Casey, your picks. Philadelphia Phillies, Houston Astros. The Houston Astros have really cool throwbacks when they do their Colt 45 jerseys. Those are fun. The Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds. And then I went with all classics. I went Yankees, Cubs, Dodgers, Cardinals. So we'll put in the poll. We'll put in the poll who had the best jerseys, and then we'll tweet out later with our little graphic. Kirby, how'd you think you fared in this draft? Do you think you had the best? Do you think you had the best jerseys?
I think so. I think Zebra is giving me a run for his money.
Thank you. I appreciate
Reid,
that.
You're such a front runner, man. Like
front runner. The
holy
first team
smokes,
I picked has won 1 jersey, has won 1 World Series in 117 years or whatever it's been. Front runner.
Just like, did you just like Google who's the most popular baseball teams and went down 1, 2, 3, 4?
Listen, I didn't know this when we drafted movies. I didn't know that we were trying to win. I didn't know that there was no trying to win. I was just going for my favorite movies, my favorite Christmas movies. And then Elliot was calling me an idiot over there with all of my picks. And he's like, who's going to vote for you? And I was like, oh, I didn't know that we're doing a popularity contest. So naturally, when it's time to draft again, I did go with the most popular teams. And I went with the oldest teams. And I went with the classic jerseys. They're all great jerseys, though. They're all great. Casey held his own for not knowing any MLB teams.
Yeah, you did, Casey. Good work.
Yeah, that was a last-minute effort for me to look at all the jerseys. So,
hey, where's Nick Kirby? Nick Kirby, I have a question for you. Do you think the Reds get over 82.5 wins?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you bet your hard-earned dollars on it?
I really don't bet futures very often. I'm not patient enough to like let
fair.
money sit for like 7 months. Like, I don't know. Like maybe if I get a free bet or something, I'll put something on that. But yeah, I really do think the NL Central is going to be crazy competitive this year. So I think that the win totals in the NL Central will probably be a little bit lower, just because I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to win like 60 games this year. And I think there might not be a team win 90 games. I think you could see everyone between like 75 and 88 or something like that.
And you're a fan of Reid's Pirates, right?
I was going to say this.
You guys are selling them short. You're selling them short. Their pitching's a little sketchy.
Correct. Correct.
But their lineup's pretty good, and they've got a lot of talent. It'll be interesting to see how quickly they push along, Paul Skeens, because obviously he has the chance to, be a real game changer. I mean, he's a incredible talent. I think you guys are selling the Pirates short. I do not think the Pirates will finish last.
That's fair. Do you think in Milwaukee, not to switch off of the Pirates, but do you think in Milwaukee there's going to be a little bit of a diva issue with Corbin Burns?
I don't know what Milwaukee's doing. It feels like they either need to go a little bit more in or just sell. Kind of feels like Milwaukee's almost like the 2021 Reds, where like they half sold, like the Reds sold Raisel Iglesias, then they kind of gave it a run, and they kind of got stuck in between. I think that's where the Brewers are probably going to end up this year. If there's one team that doesn't get to like that 70 wins that I was talking about, it might be the Brewers because they completely tank at the deadline.
Yeah, that's fair. And the last one, I think the Cardinals are going to be damn good. I think the Cardinals probably are going to win this division. But the Cubs have yet to sign anybody. What is the reason behind that? I'm still trying to figure out. They sign a manager, and then outside of that, they've done nothing. Are they content with their roster, the roster that missed the postseason?
They did just sign. Who did they sign, Reid?
Shoto. Well, they signed a manga, the Japanese left-hander. They signed the Japanese left-hander. God, who is they made some. Everyone jokes about the Reds doing a couple signings before Reds Fest every year. They very much did make a couple signings right before Cubs Con, which was last week. Like, it was the week of Cubs Con. They hadn't made a single move other than Craig Counsell, and they're like, all right, we got to do a couple things. They just got Matt Bush from the Los Angeles Dodgers, who's a top prospect. He's a top 40 MLB prospect. And listen, the Cubs have the top farm system in baseball. At this very moment, they have the best farm system in baseball. You mix that with the ability that they will make a couple signings before this season's over. I think that they might just dig their heels in with Matt Bush, in all seriousness. They might just say, hey, this is our guy going forward. So Michael Bush, not Matt Bush. Matt Bush was the former first overall draft pick that went to jail, became a relief pitcher, and now he's I'm talking Michael Bush from the Dodgers.
Kirby, and this is my last question. I'll let you go. Have you been watching any of the Stuart Fairchild tape this offseason?
Oh, all offseason. I mean, usually about 10:30 every night, put on a 20-minute clip and, let it ride and, have a sip of bourbon and, just call it a night.
Yeah, you need to drink when you watch Fairchild play. All right, thank you, Kirby. I'll send it back to Reid.
All right. Thanks, Kirby. As always, I hope you have enjoyed your first now 18 days as a Chatterbox Sports employee. I hope it's as fulfilling as you hope it'd be.
Yeah, I make TikToks. I mean, it's it's a big league operation. So, yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun.
When are you gonna start doing the dancing TikToks? I need you in that basement where you're at right now. I need you to do some of those dances, some of those TikTok dances. I know you got moves. I know you got grooves. Curbs.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe maybe when the Reds hit that 82.5, we'll start some TikTok dances.
Okay, I like that.
All right, so we'll do that like in 5 years when they get over 82. Sounds good. Sounds good. Listen, I wouldn't putting money on the over for the Reds to win 83 games this year seems about as wise as putting money in Dogecoin. It might, but probably ain't. Probably ain't gonna do anything for you. Kirby, as always, thank you for coming on. We love you. Thank you for
thanks again for underselling the Reds for a second straight year. Appreciate that.
Hey, nothing would make me happier. Truly, nothing would make me happier than for the Cincinnati Reds to win 84 games, to have a lot of injuries, for them to finish in fourth place in the NL Central, third or fourth place, and people still worried about David Bell getting Manager of the Year votes, as he did this year. Third place. And everyone's like, why isn't he Manager of the Year? Well, you finished third place in the worst division in baseball. So that probably doesn't scream Manager of the Year. Kirby, love you. See ya. See you guys. All right. So we did our drafts. We're going to get that out later. We have a lot of segments here in the second hour. We're once again, we talked about Mike McCarthy. We talked about Nick Sirianni and them more than likely. Sirianni still hasn't been fully confirmed, but that's the news. That's the news coming out that he's going to stick around in Philadelphia. We're going to talk a lot about the divisional round. But before we do that, we do have to hear a word from our sponsors. This show is presented by United Dairy Farmers, but we have some other lovely sponsors. Casey McAllister is so very, very good at ad reads. So, Casey?
That's right, Reid. The Bearcats Bengals report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and productivity. Visit Encore.tech. The path to innovation begins
here.
Let me tell you about this lovely bottle of water right here. That's right, it's Pahhni water. Made right here in Hamilton, Ohio. Uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pahhni Water at PAHHNI water.com to see where you can buy this great tasting water. Drink lots of coffee from UDF. Swish it down with some Pahhni water and get your technology solutions from Encore. And since Reid's not sitting over there, go like, share, subscribe, all of our content if you feel so inclined to do so. It helps us out, helps us grow, gets us in the algorithm so we can produce more content for you guys. And also, I think we're going to have a gaming stream later.
That's right. Can we do a contest today? If we can get 50 comments. So we have people in the chat right now. If we get 50 comments on this show, can we do the gaming stream for everybody? Or do we only put that behind the paywall?
So we'll do it. How about this? We'll pub the Reds interview. Kirby's interview, which is going to go live.
Okay.
It's going to go live after the conclusion of this show. If you put 50 comments in that chat, and not
individuals.
In the chat, individual. We don't, Alex, we love you. We appreciate your chutzpah, but you can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 50 individual comments in the Reds interview, and we will live stream for free us doing the Madden thing. We're actually not going to be playing together today. We have decided that we are going to start a franchise. We're all going to be owners. We're going to be the Mike Browns of the team. And every week we're going to play the games, and we're going to see if we can win the Super Bowl with us controlling the sticks and us creating a winning franchise like Nick Sirianni.
And also, how about 50 likes as well? 50 likes and 50 comments.
There we go. All right, guys. Second hour, I promised you that we would talk about the divisional round. Some great games this week, 4 to be exact. There's a couple that are going to have a double-digit spread, but I think both of those are going to be likely. Last week, we tasked Tom with ranking the top 14, or all teams in the NFL, ranking them 14-1. This week, we're going to do the same, but I'm going to do it since Tom is not here. This is what we slated for today's show. So without further ado, this is how I think all 8 teams remaining in the playoffs stack up. So, guys, you ready to tear me apart?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Coming in at number 8. This might surprise you. They played well in their postseason game. They beat the team that I just dismantled in the Philadelphia Eagles. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that they are the worst team remaining in the postseason. And the reason I think this, there's really 3 teams that you could put. I think the top 5 teams are what they are. And then you got these 3 teams sitting on the outside looking in. And when I looked at these 3 teams, I said, which team has the perceived worst quarterback? And though he played great on Monday, I think Baker Mayfield does not stand up to the other two quarterbacks that I brought up. Thoughts on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being 8th?
I agree. I think the Buccaneers are by far and away the worst team left in the postseason. I don't think the team is very good. People forget in a must-win game against the Carolina Panthers in the last week of the season, they dropped 9 points. 9 points. I like Baker. I think he's fun. Rashad White, their running back, has been phenomenal all season. They've got arguably, and I think he gets slept on from time to time, but Mike Evans is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Mike Evans consistently produces high numbers. If you look at his career numbers, they're unbelievable. Mike Evans is truly one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the sport, and he has a Super Bowl ring on top of everything. Chris Godwin, elite wide receiver. Cade Otton's a decent tight end. Their defense has been okay. Hasn't been the best defense in the world, but I do think the Bucs are by far and away the worst team left in the postseason, despite everything. I think Baker can maybe beat the Lions. I think they can maybe beat the Lions. But is that even saying a ton? I don't think it is. So I agree with your pick.
Ooh, is this the actual power rankings, or is this based on who could possibly make it to the Super Bowl? Because
yes,
I would say the Buccaneers have a better shot at making it than the Packers or the Texans.
Here's the thing, Casey, is at some point you got to play the 49ers anyways in the NFC.
Right, but I feel like they have an easier chance of winning this week's game than they do the other 2 teams. But that,
well, I would like if you want to talk about the Packers, Like the Packers got to play the 49ers, and then they've presumably got to play the Lions, which if the Bucks win, then they would go Lions then 49ers. So it's the same route, just different times.
I suppose. I don't know if I would put them at 8. I think they're sneaky. They're sneaky to me. That defense is pretty darn good. They've just been banged up all year round. And I'm looking at the game that they played against each other early on in the season. And it was 20-6. Tampa Bay could not move the ball whatsoever. Baker Mayfield threw an interception that game. But the Lions weren't able to run the ball at all. And I feel like if they have this same exact game plan, they're not going to let Jared Goff throw for 400 yards like they did. There was a couple big bombs in that game. Jamison Williams with a 45-yard catch. Amon-Ra with 27-yarder. A couple other big 20-yarders. I don't know, 30-yarders. I just don't see that happening again. We'll see. I'm not going to absolutely hate on this, but I do think that 8 is a little too low for Tampa.
Mr. Mo with a funny chat, and we'll get to his chat in a second here because it'll be brought up. Coming in at number 7, Tampa Bay. Casey said it was too low. He likes them better than both Elliot and I do. But I actually have someone that I think you're all going to disagree with. I have the Houston Texans at the 7th spot. Listen, the final 8 teams in the league, someone's got to be at the bottom. And I think the Houston Texans are right there. So, as I mentioned, these final 3 teams, you just pick between – I mean, you're drawing straws here. I think that the Houston Texans have the least likely ability to win this week over what the Green Bay Packers have in front of them. I think Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud are very similar in their abilities. I think they're both gamers. I think they're both top 10 quarterbacks. I really do believe that. But I just don't like the prospect of the Houston Texans going on the road in cold weather in Baltimore, Maryland, and beating a hard-nosed team in the MVP candidate that is Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. And I know that the Ravens have had a lot of troubles. I know that they've had a lot of troubles in the postseason as of late, especially Lamar Jackson. I just don't see a scenario in which the Houston Texans beat Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. That's why I have them at 7. They've had a fantastic year. I think they have, the ceiling is the roof, as Michael Jordan once said. The ceiling is the roof for the Houston Texans going forward. But I don't think they win this week. I have them at number 7. Opinions?
I disagree completely. I think the Texans are really damn good. And not to mention, if you have to look at what the Phillies, the Eagles did towards the end of their season, by far and away, I'll say that 10 times a day, they were the coldest team heading into the postseason. This is I would argue the hottest team coming into the postseason. The Texans are red hot. They've got their quarterback. They did lose Tank Dell. Tank Dell will be unable to come back for the postseason. But Nico Collins is a beast. Dalton Schultz is a beast. Devin Singletary has a career year after leaving Buffalo, joining the Texans. That offense is legitimately good. I think the Ravens' defense is great, one of the best defenses in the NFL. But there is that narrative about Lamar that he can't win in the postseason. And if that's even remotely true, even somewhat true, then they will struggle against the hottest team in the NFL. I think the Texans are a top 5 team left in this postseason. 9.5 points is way too many, which is what they are projected to lose by, according to Las Vegas. I think they cover that spread, and I think there's a legitimately good chance they win this football game. I would take the Texans to win. I'm going to bet the Texans to win.
360 on the money line.
I disagree. What is it?
360 on the money line.
Yeah, that's money, baby. I disagree with your take at having them at 7. I think the Packers for sure are worse.
You said that the Houston Texans are the hottest team in football, and I'm not picking apart that. I'm saying that this is something going into the postseason that we've now said about like 3 or 4 different teams. We said about the Buffalo Bills, said about the Los Angeles Rams, and now we're saying about the Houston Texans. Not everyone can be the hottest team in football. So, Casey?
So just based off of what your top or your bottom 8 or your bottom 3 here on this list, I'm assuming what the next one is going to be the Packers.
49ers. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yes, it's the Packers.
I think that is crazy because Kansas City, there's just that game in itself, Kansas and Buffalo, is going to be the toughest game for both of those teams. They both should be towards the bottom because they have the toughest route to the Super Bowl. They got to play each other, and then they got to go play probably Baltimore or the hottest team in the NFL, the Houston Texans. I think those two should definitely be closer to the bottom of your list. That being said, I really like the Texans too. I have them in my top 4. I think they're super hot right now. If there was a team that was going to beat Baltimore, it's probably going to be Houston. I don't think Buffalo can beat the Ravens. I think Josh Allen turns the ball over too much in a meaningful game. I think Kansas City right now doesn't have the offense to compete. So that being said, I think Houston's a little too low on your list.
Casey, I understand the sentiment that you're saying about like tough routes to the Super Bowl, but how in the hell are you going to look at me and say the Buffalo Bills as 3-point favorites at home have a tougher route to the Super Bowl than the Houston Texans, who got to go to Baltimore and are 10-point underdogs? How is that a tougher game for the Buffalo Bills than what the Texans are about to do?
I mean, it's not just all about the tougher game, but I am saying, like, Houston is definitely one of the hotter teams in the NFL.
And the Bills are up there too.
I disagree with that, but I think Houston and the Packers are the hottest teams right now. Buffalo is just good. I don't think they're hot. What makes them a hot team in the NFL right now?
Since they fired their offensive coordinator, they've lost 1 game.
Yeah, and they barely won games against the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Chargers. Okay. All right. Sure.
You going to talk about the other games that they won?
They barely won against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They got bailed out by the refs in that game. I don't know if you remember that one. I don't know what else you want, because
they beat America's team 30.
Yeah,
so you are
on board.
You are on board with the Kansas City Chiefs complaining about that offsides call. Is that what you want to put your flag in? That you agree that has taken away from Travis Kelce's Hall of Fame legacy?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they had a if there was no penalty on that game, or if there was no flag on that play, they probably would have lost that game. So
my biggest bet of the weekend. You guys ready for this? My biggest bet of the weekend is the Baltimore Ravens over the Houston Texans. That's gonna make or break my weekend, because it's the first game. It's the first game. But Casey was right. We go to number 6. It's the Green Bay Packers. I said it for these 3 teams. I think however it shakes out, you have to have these 3 teams as the worst teams in the playoffs. They're still great teams. If you're the final 8 team, if you're playing in the divisional round, you're a fantastic team. You're either playing hot, you're playing at the right time, or whatever. I just have this weird suspicion. You guys, everyone loves the Houston Texans this week. You think that spread's outrageous, which makes me, as I fade the public, I want to take the Ravens. That's why it's going to be my biggest bet. Not enough people are talking about the Green Bay Packers. They just went into Jerry World, and I know the Dallas Cowboys are frauds, and that was the whole storyline, right? The Cowboys are frauds. They never get it done, but they went into the story before going into that game was the Cowboys are unstoppable at home. And the Packers absolutely tore them apart. Jordan Love is playing the best football that we've seen from a quarterback this year. The best football. In fact, if you just want to do quarterback versus quarterback, I'd rather have Jordan Love than Brock Purdy. You guys all hate that, but I'm just telling you straight up. Now, is this a young team? Yeah, it's the youngest team to make the postseason since the 1974 Buffalo Bills. Second youngest in NFL history. But this team, man, I push back against saying every team's the hottest team in football, because the Green Bay Packers aren't the hottest team in football, but they do a lot of things right. I think Matt LaFleur is a great coach. I think Jordan Love's a great quarterback. And I think the Green Bay Packers have a legitimate shot to beat the San Francisco 49ers, who haven't played football in 2 weeks.
I disagree completely. I think the Packers, again, I like the Packers. I like Jordan Love. Reid has gotten me onto the Jordan Love bandwagon. That's fine. I think Aaron Jones is one of the best running backs in the NFL. He is throwing to a bunch of nobodies. I say that with love and respect, but Romeo Doubs, some guy named Wicks, Christian Watson, they're just not very good receivers. I'm very sorry to say that. This is a Packers team, in the month of December, they lost to the New York Football Giants. They lost by 2 touchdowns to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. They gave up 30 points, 30, to the Carolina Panthers, a team that did not score a single point in their last 2 games of the season. 30 points to the Panthers. I think Jordan Love's playing very good football. I think he is going to get slaughtered on Saturday night. I think Reid's biggest bet is the Ravens. My biggest bet's the 49ers.
Ooh, we're going to be on opposite sides.
There is a 0% chance that the 49ers lose, and they certainly will cover the spread of 10.5. This will be a classic trap line for all those bettors, the casual bettors out there that see what they did in Dallas, and they say, oh, they beat the Dallas Cowboys. They must be a damn good team. And they are. They're a good team. I'm not going to say they're a bad team. They're just nowhere close to the level of the San Francisco 49ers. I'll take the 49ers minus 10. I don't agree with your pick here. They should be the last place team out of the 8 remaining.
Okay. Casey?
Yeah, I also think the Packers are a little low. But 6 is probably fair. 6 is fair. I still think San Francisco is one of the best teams in the NFL. Roster construction wise, they just have star talent all over the field. But after watching them do what they did against Dallas, it's so hard to think that they won't be able to do something similar to the San Francisco, because it's almost, I won't say that it's like a 1-for-1 on defense comparable from Dallas to San Francisco, but it's close. They're just a little worse than the 49ers. So I don't know. I think I guess 6 is fair. But they're super hot. I love that they're super hot right now. So it's probably for me 6 or 5.
The thing that kind of excites me, and you can say this about the Buccaneers, you can say this about the Texans as well. The thing that kind of excites me about the Green Bay Packers is they have essentially already won 3 playoff games. They needed to win their last 2 games against division opponents to get into the postseason. What'd they do? They traveled to Minnesota, who was fighting for a playoff spot. They tore them apart, 33-10. Vikings weren't playing well at the time, but they did that. They then go home and play the Chicago Bears, once again needing to win to get in. And they did just that. I think that it was a 1-score game, but I don't think that score, if you watched it, you knew that the Packers kind of dominated. And then they go down to the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World, which everyone thought was the toughest task in football. Beating the Cowboys at home? Yeah, the Cowboys aren't very good on the road, but at home, tough sled. And they go up 27-0 and really dominate that game. They're up 48-16 in the fourth quarter. So this Green Bay Packers team, they've got a lot of youth. They've got a lot of receivers that may not have the cachet yet, but give them a couple years, you will think of this team and all their weapons because they've got a lot. And I think Jordan Love is a dang good ball player. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if they upset the 49ers this week, because the 49ers haven't played a meaningful game since Christmas, and they got decimated in that game. It was against the best team in football, the Baltimore Ravens, but I digress. All right, we go into the top 5. So, who do I have at number 5? I have a team that I might have been sleeping on for a while, and that's the Detroit Lions. Listen, if I'm going to sit here and I'm going to play the game where I was dead right about the Cowboys and I was right about talking about how the Dolphins were frauds, I also called this Detroit Lions team frauds. I did. And what did they do? They played in a team, like we've given the moniker to a lot of teams in the postseason. We played a Rams team who might have been playing the best football over the past 2 months. And despite not playing well in the second half, held them off. Jared Goff, limited at quarterback at times, but when they needed him to come up, what'd they do? They dropped him back on 2nd and 9 instead of just handing the ball off, giving the Rams a chance and trying to drain out as much clock. They said, Jared, you're going to drop back, you're going to complete a pass, you're going to get us a first down, you're going to win us this game. And that's exactly what they did. They go to home again, and I really like their matchup against the Bucs. I really do like their matchup against the Bucs this week. I think that this Detroit Lions team will be playing for an NFC championship. All that being said, I have them at number 5. Casey, Elliot?
Casey?
5. I already have a sneak peek of what the rest of your list is. It's just I think this is just a literal just how they would be ranked from the best to worst teams.
Casey, they all got to play. They all got to win hard games.
I know. I don't know. I think the Lions. I think they actually have a pretty easy path, to be honest. But 5, I guess I would have put Tampa and the Lions here at 5 and 4, to be honest.
Because they got to play each other.
Because they got to play each other, and I think that those are the easy. That is the easiest game of the week for either team, or for any. If any of those teams played Tampa, I feel like everyone would say that's an easy game. If anyone played the Lions, I feel like they would say that's a pretty easy game too. I don't think that there's a team that would feel like they would want to go play San Francisco or go play the Ravens or go play Texas or the Packers right now. So that being said, I think you got to put them right down the middle because they're both soft teams, in my opinion. I don't think, yes, they're going to make it to one of those teams is going to make it to the championship, but whoever of those teams makes it to the championship are going to be underdogs against whoever they play. And
right, which is why
that.
I don't have them higher.
Right, but that's why I would say 4 and 5 is correct. But that's why I would have Tampa at 5 and the Lions at 4.
Yeah, but this isn't the easiest path. This is the best teams available, right?
Well, that's why I'm confused.
It's teams getting to the Super Bowl, and I still will hold it that it's. I listen. When you get to the divisional round, you gotta win a good game at some point. You gotta beat the 49ers on the road if you're the Detroit Lions.
In the championship round.
But you still got to do it.
The Lions' offense is still unbelievable. I think this is a fair spot for the Lions. I do think they will beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'll probably bet on the Bucks to cover the spread, but I think the Lions win the game. I think the Lions are legit. I think the defense is damn good. I do think that Jared Goff, and again, I think he's had a great year. I don't believe in Jared Goff. I certainly don't believe him to win many playoff games. I know he did with the Rams, and that's great. I know he just beat the Rams. That's great. But I would say that offense went stagnant right after the first quarter, and it was a lot of because of Jared Goff. So we'll see.
Correct.
We'll see. I think the Lions are fair at this spot at 5. I think they could win the game, and I think they will get bounced by whoever they play next round.
Correct. Casey keeps getting hung up on their routes, like their path. Yeah. And in the AFC, I don't think it matters. Like the NFC, you're right that the weakest game that doesn't have like a true quote unquote powerhouse would be the Lions versus Bucks, and one of them gotta go to the NFC Championship game. So in theory, one of them just has to win a game. But if we're talking about the best team's chances to win the Super Bowl, I will still take my teams that are ahead of the Lions to win the Super Bowl than I will the Detroit Lions, because I think all these teams are better than them. Number 4, Kansas City Chiefs. Man, every time it just goes to Tom's playoff rankings. That's on me. That's on old Reader Roo. Listen, when we do these graphics, Reader's going to mess up something at some point. I was given a lot of the talents in this world. I was not given the talent to details. I'm not detail-oriented whatsoever.
Well, let me control it.
I got you. Got you. I won't do anything. I won't touch any more, Casey. Kansas City Chiefs. This is the team with the most experience. Andy Reid has now played in, 9 conference championship games? 5 under the Kansas City Chiefs, 4 with the Philadelphia Eagles. Patrick Mahomes has never played not in the AFC Championship game. It's the farthest he's made, or the shortest that he's gone every year. It's either been the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game every year. But as everyone likes to tell me, this is the first time that the Kansas City Chiefs got to go on the road. We'll see how good they are on the road. This is going to be billed as the best game of the weekend, as it absolutely should. The Kansas City Chiefs, as I've said, from about week 7 to right now, have a top 5 defense in the league. They also have the best quarterback in the league in Patrick Mahomes. They've also got the best coach in the league in Andy Reid. I still think that there are some limitations when they get in the red zone. Something short circuits and they can't find 6. But the Kansas City Chiefs, I have at number 4.
It's more than fair. I think the Chiefs, again, do you think we forget about the 49ers and Ravens because they missed that first weekend. Do you think there's anything to not getting the bye and then staying hot? You know what I'm saying? Like the Chiefs right now, they're coming off a game. They're going to play this weekend too. And the 49ers Ravens coming out for the first time this weekend. Is there anything to that?
I think
because everybody wants the bye, but
because you're already in the divisional round,
yeah,
and you're banged up. But there's also something to be said about the Green Bay Packers and the Houston Texans, quote unquote, already winning like 3 playoff games. Both have.
Yeah.
Both teams had to win their last 2 weeks against division opponents. And then they got to go on the road, and their first, or I guess Houston was at home. And then you got to beat a good team, and they did that. They've essentially won 3 playoff games.
Yeah, I just think, and again, the Chiefs, I'm not one to doubt Patrick Mahomes ever. I'm not going to say their last playoff win was a great one. It was against a fraudulent Miami team. Clearly, they cannot play in cold weather. Tua is not the guy, and Tyreek Hill is really the only offensive weapon they have. So, saying that, I do think the Chiefs are fair at 4. I'm scared of the Chiefs. I would be scared if I were the Bills. I would be scared. Saying that, it is the first time he's on the road in the playoffs, and he might choke up. He might slip up. I don't think Travis Kelce has been anywhere close to what he's been in the past, and Rashee Rice is the only other wide receiver he has. So I think Isaiah Pacheco, if he's going to show out, it would be this game again. If Pacheco does his funny little runs, they have a good chance to win. But I think as of right now, your list is fine at number 4 with the Kansas City Chiefs.
So this is the team that I would have had in my bottom 3 because I think they have the toughest road to the Super Bowl. Now, I know we've talked a lot about my hang up on the roads, but just want to paint a picture here. It's one of the coldest offenses in the NFL currently. They just won a game because it was cold and they could run the ball, and Miami, their offense stinks. They're not going to be able to run the ball. Travis Kelce, older, not the same anymore. Against the Bills, I think the Chiefs, despite what I said about them trying to win a game in Buffalo earlier or in Kansas early on in the season, and that play that happened that was taken away, they lost the game. They made a mistake, and they've been making mistakes all year round, and they're going to be playing Buffalo, who I think is a top 4 team in the NFL at the moment, and then more than likely going to be playing the Ravens, who will for sure not let them run the ball. So that being said, and all the rest of their games are away. That being said, I think that they should be like at the seventh spot, in my opinion.
We like the Detroit Lions' offense. We love it. So it's a great offense. They scored 24 points at home in climate-controlled weather. We hate the Kansas City Chiefs offense. They scored 26 points in negative 30-degree weather. This is what's funny about the Kansas City Chiefs. Kind of the stigma around them. If they went and they played the Miami Dolphins and the game was, we'll say, 35-28, we'd be sitting here going, hey, this Chiefs offense, this team's figuring it out. They're getting together. They won by 7 points against the Dolphins, 35-28. They won 26-7. And we're going, I don't know. I don't see it. They won by 19. That's what's funny about this whole situation. And I've said for a long time, the Chiefs aren't getting enough credit for their defense. Who's got a better defense than them currently in the postseason? The Ravens? Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah. This is going to be a great game. I still have them at 4 because at number 3, I have the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen has the ability to finally get over the hump. I've picked up a sword and shield towards the Buffalo Bills. People have told me this team's a fraud. This team never gets it done in the postseason. Well, who has more playoff wins than them over the past 4 years? I believe there's only one team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, but we always put the Bills on this high pedestal. Well, who's won more games than them over the last 4 years? Besides the Kansas City Chiefs. Every time these two teams get together, it's a great game. Regular season, postseason, I am tremendously excited. Josh Allen is playing maybe the best football that we've seen him play. Josh Allen has perhaps the best postseason stats that we've ever seen from a quarterback. Look it up. He's gaining over 360 yards a game. Over 250 in the air. It's like 275. Over 50, 60 yards on the ground. Now, he hasn't ran tremendously against the Kansas City Chiefs in their postseason games that they've played. But the Buffalo Bills, since losing to the Philadelphia Eagles in overtime, have lost just one game. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs already. They played a Steelers team, jumped out very early, and weathered a storm. Now they've got a chance to beat the Chiefs at home, or I feel tremendously bad for Buffalo Bills fans if they can't get over the hump this week. But I have the Bills at 3.
Jolly put in something in the chat, and I saw this on X.com. Steve Hachuli is a referee. He's refereeing this game. The Bills.
Hachuli?
What did I say?
Hachuli?
Yeah, we'll go Hachuli. Steve Hachuli is known for he's called the Bills I think 4 times this season. The Bills are 1-3 in those games, and in those games he has called 347 yards in penalties. That goes against the Buffalo Bills. Saying that, I do think they are playing better than the Chiefs. I do like them better than the Chiefs this weekend. I'll be betting on them against the Chiefs on Sunday. But saying that, I do think the Bills and the Chiefs will have one of the best games of the season. It'll be close. It'll be high scoring. Josh Allen's a gamer. If he doesn't turn the ball over, and I know we say that a lot, if you don't turn the ball over, you put yourself in a good position to win. This guy is turnover prone. If he does what he did against Pittsburgh and not turn the ball over, they are going to win this football game.
So everyone talks about Josh Allen's turnovers. In the postseason, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost. Josh Allen averages, or he's had 2,500 passing yards in the postseason in just 9 games. He's got 500 rushing yards in just 9 games. Josh Allen in the postseason has been the gift that keeps on giving. He's been fantastic. Casey, you like the Buffalo Bills lower on the list because of their road, because of their route.
Yeah, I did my own little list here on the side. I had the Chiefs at the dead bottom.
You had them at 8.
I have them at 8. And then I have the Packers. Then I have the Bills. And then after that, I have the Bucks, Lions, Texans, Ravens, 49ers.
How do you have the Texans lower than the Chiefs?
Or higher than the Chiefs?
Higher than the Chiefs when they've got to go on the road for both games. They're going to be double-digit underdogs in both games.
I just think people are sleeping on the Texans.
Okay.
I think the Texans are the hottest team in the NFL.
I love how we keep doing that. I love that. We've now given it to the Bills.
I've not given it to the Bills.
I'm saying we. Packers, and now the Texans. But you would have the Bills where on your list?
The Bills on my list I have at 5 or 6.
Okay.
I have them at 6. And it's only because they play. So the thing is, like, if we're doing it based on who is better, like, I think your list is fine. Your list is great, but is this based off of their path to the playoff or the Super Bowl? Because I think the Chiefs going against the Bills is so much difficult, much more difficult than it is for the Lions and the Bucks. Like that to me is like they're automatic. One of those teams.
It's not harder than the Texans with a rookie quarterback and a rookie coach going to Baltimore.
Well, that's just because I don't believe in Baltimore. I think they're going to fumble the bag here. And I think the Texans are one of the hottest teams.
Okay. Casey, I want a screenshot of you betting the Texans.
I will.
I want a screenshot of it because I in money line, you can't take spread. You have to pick money line.
Yeah, I'll pick money line.
I can't wait for Saturday to roll around. Afternoon, this game starts up. Texans-Ravens, 4 o'clock on Saturday. And our chat is going to have 2 completely different narratives about whatever's going on. Whatever's going on. There'll be an interception from C.J. Stroud. He doesn't turn the ball over. Right? That's what I do like about C.J. Stroud. And it'll be like, I will say like, man, this dude's a bum. And you guys will be like, God, we got to give him time. It's so funny when you got 2 different sides betting on something or 2 different sides that have different opinions. Just the narrative or the angle that you take when watching a game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I like the Ravens a lot this week.
But let's be very clear. I think your list is great for what rosters are the best roster.
Yeah, we've established that you think that the routes
are different. I think they're a lot different.
I will hold that if I think the team's better, I think they are more likely to go to the Super Bowl. Like, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs have a much more likely chance to make the Super Bowl than the Houston Texans. I think that the Buffalo Bills have a much more likely chance to make the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But that's why we do this list. Coming in number 2, we'll just do the last two. You know where it's at. I have the 49ers at 2. I have the Ravens at 1. These are the best 2 teams in football. I've already insinuated that I think that the game out in San Fran, out of Northern California, is going to be much closer than a lot of people are giving credit. Everyone likes the Texans. Everyone loves the Texans to cover against the Baltimore Ravens. I like the Packers to cover against the San Francisco 49ers, but I got to give credit where it's due. If you're looking at, once again, we're trying to give it to where what teams we think are going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, who's more likely than the 49ers? I would love it if they lost, because then I can give some flack to Mr. Mo, who always gives me crap about Brock Purdy. Nothing would make me happier than for Jordan Love to beat Brock Purdy. Nothing would make me happier than that. Because I bought my ticket at Amtrak for the Jordan Love train. Bought it. And I'm putting sticks of dynamite on the Brock Purdy train.
As of right now, public money, according to Trace's website, public money is on the Packers and they are on the Texans.
Both. Because the spreads are so ridiculously long. And as I always hold, like, this isn't a mistake on Vegas's behalf. They don't make mistakes. Whatever they use to calculate these games, to handicap these games, have the 49ers and the Ravens winning by double digits. So, Casey, 2-1, would you change it?
I would just flip-flop the 49ers and Ravens, but yeah, those are the correct teams to have at your top 2.
Okay. Because the path.
Yes. I mean, they have the home field advantage. 49ers for sure should be number 1, though, because, I mean, they're going to play either the Lions or the Bucks. I mean, that they're going to be –
That's fair.
To me, the 49ers are already in the Super Bowl, in my opinion. They really are, in my opinion. I know people are super high on the Packers. I said it all year, beginning of the year. I thought they were the best team in the last 10 years.
But when you close your eyes, can you picture Brock Purdy hoisting up the Lombardi?
Yes. If people could imagine Tom Brady hoisting up a trophy, a 6th round pick in the NFL, yeah, I think you can imagine Brock Purdy.
So you're comparing Brock Purdy to Tom Brady?
That's what we're doing today. Brock Purdy next Tom Brady. Heard it here first. Mr. Mo says, I mean, where's that Mr. Mo? I mean, you make all the excuses in the world for Joe Burrow, but constantly dunk on Brock Purdy. Yeah, correct.
Makes no sense.
You know why? Why? Because I love you, Joe. I love Joe Burrow. He took my franchise to places that I've never seen before. He was the first overall pick. We had high expectations, and he knocked him out of the park in his first 2 full years as our starting quarterback. So I'm sorry if I defend my starting quarterback, and I'm sorry if I look at another team and I don't like theirs. I'm sorry, Mr. Mo.
I feel like the narrative would be so much different if the 49ers didn't lose Brock Purdy like the first game of the NFC Championship.
Right.
People would love Brock Purdy if he made it to the Super Bowl and is going on his 2nd Super Bowl run.
I'm allowed to change.
It would be a completely different narrative.
We're allowed to change our opinions when new facts fold in. We're allowed to have new opinions. We're allowed to change our takes. If Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, I can say that my past take is wrong. I now like Brock Purdy. You're allowed to do that. I don't have to dig my heels into saying Brock Purdy stinks for the rest of time. I can say, listen, I was an idiot. I'm sorry. You can do that.
Wrong. You were wrong.
Right. I can do that. When the Ohio State Buckeyes said, Joe Burrow, you're not good enough to play here. Go find somewhere else to play, you bum. and then he goes out and wins the Heisman, has the best season in college football history, they're allowed to go, we might have been wrong there. They don't have to dig their heels in and say, Joe, it wasn't it. They're allowed to do that. But that was my playoff rankings. That was my top 8.
I'll never do that, by the way, with Lamar Jackson.
I know you won't.
Lamar will always stink.
Two things was beautiful about Casey last year. One was when he fought that Tyler Huntley is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. And the other one,
of the team.
I'm not looking at the chat, by the way. I know that Ohio State take probably riled them up a little bit. I'm not looking at it. I'm not doing that. I'm hiding it. I'm hiding the chat. And I think the other one was that I said something about Lamar Jackson being a good scrambler, and you're just like, no. You looked at me and went, no, that's not true. I was like, okay. We've got a couple more segments to go through, and to break up the segments. Do you want to look in the mail? You want to look in the mailbox?
Well, I was going to do that right after this. Casey, I know there's not a ton of sports that are happening right now. We're kind of into a dead period, but we do have the playoffs. But saying that, we did have college basketball last night, and if you didn't see it, I sent Casey this. There was a Big 12 game, Texas versus UCF. The Big 12 has been absolutely outrageous to start the conference play. Texas was at home against UCF. UCF, one of the scrappy American teams. And UCF was down 16 points, came back to win 77-71. Now, the story wasn't that UCF won. It was that after the game, a bunch of UCF players started doing this, which, if you know, it means horns down. Now, the Texas coach finds this as great disrespect, and you're going to see here in these two clips that he was having none of it.
Went up.
This is the first time I've seen this, and we're going to have his post-game comments here. When it comes to amateur athletes, I think even at the professional level, it rubs me the wrong way. But certainly amateur athletes, when you're a coach of an opposing team, it doesn't matter what happens on the floor. You never have the right to yell at an opposing player. Never. Never, never, ever, ever. If you go through the line and you start yelling at the opposing coach's players, that will always rub me the wrong way. If you have a problem, you go talk to the coach and say, hey, your team did this.
Correct.
You cannot, never, under any circumstances, get in the face of an opposing player.
Absolutely.
Let's play this press conference.
I'm a big believer in, you win the right way, you lose the right way. And, I always tell my guys, whether you win or lose, you win the right way. You lose the right way. You carry yourself the right way. You don't go through the handshake line or proud to get into the handshake line and have about 6 or 7 guys putting the horns down. We don't do that, because when you do those kind of things, it looks very classless, and it also looks like you were just hoping to win. We never go into games trying to hope to win. We go into games expecting to win. So we don't act like that. We expect to win. We don't jump up and down act like we won a national championship. We sure don't step on anyone's home court deal and act crazy and try to show them up in any way. We don't do that. So that's what I was angry about, and I was letting those guys know you don't do that. You guys won. Hey, we shake your hand, tip our hat to you, but we're not going to let you act that way in our building. You're not going to do that. You're not going to put your horns down and do all that nonsense.
And that was head coach of Texas, Rodney Terry, there.
So, once again, I really don't care about what he said the post game. Because if that's your opinion, like if people are asking you questions, what happened? Like, what did you think of this? Then you can answer. But the second that you as a coach get in the face of another athlete, the other team's athletes, you lose it. You lose me.
Yeah, I agree.
There's never a scenario in which that's right. Never. Chatterbox Sports got our start doing high school games. We've now been doing it for 5 years. We'll do a game tomorrow night. And I think like twice I've seen an opposing coach, like there might have been like a physical alteration, like someone got knocked down in a basketball game. And I've seen a coach run over and get in the face of the opposing team's athlete. Right or wrong what that kid did, that's never okay. You're the adult here. And in college, I know high school and college aren't the same things. I know these are grown men now, 22-year-old men. But still, they're amateur athletes. If you have something that you disagree with from the other team, you take it up with their coach. You don't get in the face of their athletes. Never. Ever, ever. And even at the professional level, I disagree with it. But at least they're grown men. They're no longer amateur athletes.
Can I ask you guys this? I was reading Twitter after this incident yesterday, and I scrolled upon Mo Egger. As you know, Mo Egger hosts his own show, but he wrote an article a while ago, and it was after a Xavier game. I forget who they played, but Chris Mack was getting into it with one of the players. They were yelling at the Xavier players. Xavier players were yelling back. It's the same thing. And Mo's piece was basically centered around the absurdity of making these college athletes do a handshake line at the end of the game. How absurd is it that as these near professional athletes, they're not, but in a good program, couple programs, a lot of them are going pro. You're going to make them shake hands after the game like children, essentially. After they just spent an entire game trying to beat each other up, trying to out-physical one another, trash talking, taunting. After all of that, you're going to fake a bunch of sportsmanship at the end of the game and try to run with it.
So that's part of the thing where NCAA college is trying to hold on to this pageantry of amateurness, of amateur athletes, which most of the kids are amateur athletes, right? You go across the NCAA, Division I, Division II, Division III, most of the Division I athletes aren't getting paid. Certainly when you go to Kentucky or Kansas, if you're Hunter Dickinson, you're going to get some money. There's going to be some money in your pocket for playing basketball at Kansas. But there's this quote-unquote pageantry of amateur athletics that they're just trying to hold on to. I don't have a take either way. I don't dislike the handshaking, and I get that tempers can flare up, but it doesn't. I don't care either way.
For me, the key word was when he said, "We don't do that here." Buddy, we aren't we.
We're not here. Yeah,
we are not together here. You are the enemy. That is just ridiculous that he was trying to discipline other players on the team and almost shame them for doing whatever they want to do after they beat their rival. I mean, it's just kind of not rivals, but you get the point. They're conference team, division rival, whatever you want to call it. It seems dumb. It seems like a sore loser take, like you can't handle this.
Right.
That to me, sore loser. He's not a nut cutter to me.
Yeah, it's and to put a bow on my take about that, you never get into the face of an opposing team's player if you're a coach, if you're someone in charge. It's not much different than if you've been out and you see kids, kind of like, say you're at a restaurant and you see kids running around, right? Sometimes that happens. They're running around, they're making a ruckus, making a lot of noise, getting in the way of the staff and stuff like that, just kind of being a nuisance. If you're a parent that disagrees with those kids doing that, you don't go up to the kids and say, "Hey, stop running. Go sit down." You go talk to their parents. And you go say, "Hey, what do you like? People are trying to enjoy an evening here. Can you rein in your kids?" And maybe there's some discourse there. But I don't think it's much different than that. Like I said, and I'll say until the end of time, you have no right. If you're the Texas coach, if you're Rodney Terry, you have no right to go to a UCF player and say, "Hey, we don't do that here. We don't do that here." You go to the UCF coach and you go, "Hey, can you rein in your players? They're being disrespectful." And maybe you get in a disagreement with him about it, but you certainly don't get in the face of a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid. You just don't.
That's fair. And speaking of kids, I believe we have a letter, Casey.
Oh, do we?
We do.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
Well, hey, everybody. It's time for the letter. Today's letter, it comes all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Today's mailbag is from sweet little Javier, from Mrs. Baez's class. Now, Javier is really struggling in school this year. It started off good. His first week, he got an A on every quiz. But now, as his academic career has gone on, he has shown that he doesn't put in the work and strikes out a lot on homework. He probably needs to be held back a year. Javier wants to know, should he continue his academic career or should he hang it up?
Should I do what Tom does?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think he should hang it up. Go right back down to AAA. Thank you. In all seriousness, though, Javier Baez has been one of the worst players in baseball over the past 2 years.
Still a great defensive player. Like he's still. I mean, I don't know how much weight you put into to WAR, but still been a somewhat productive player when he's on the field. Before, and this is where I'm going to say something disparaging about the Chicago Cubs. The only thing that I can comprehend about what happened to Javi Baez as a hitter is that the Chicago Cubs, and I think a lot of teams were doing this, had to have been cheating in some degree. I'm being serious because he went from being second place in MVP voting to being multiple-time All-Star. I still hold that Javi Baez is a better middle infielder than Brandon Phillips was for the Reds, but I digress. He went from being one of the best middle infielders, a top 5 middle infielder in the sport. Then this news came out that the Houston Astros and the Baltimore Red Sox were stealing signs and were relaying signs to their hitters so they knew a pitch was coming in. And about that time, right when that news broke out, Javi Baez forgot how to hit. I don't know. I think I'm throwing a conspiracy out there against my own team, but I'm just saying.
So Chicago's full of cheaters, huh?
Well, if you want another conspiracy, if we're gonna go full InfoWars here and just start throwing conspiracies around, I want to throw one out about my beloved Cleveland Browns.
Here we go.
The Cleveland Browns were the best defense at home this year. By far the best defense at home. Give up like 13 points a game. They would then go on the road and give up over 30 points a game. Now, you guys have been around football for a while. You know the take. Defense travels. We're a hard-nosed team because we know wherever we go, rain, sunshine, cold weather, hot weather, wherever we go, this defense is going to stop you. And that didn't happen with the Cleveland Browns. So, as someone who is very open, about how I do not like the Cleveland Browns, as someone who is very open about how I do not like the Ohio State Buckeyes, I think it would be borderline hilarious. Truly one of the funniest things that have happened in the history of mankind. Because there's a lot of overlap. You go north of Dayton, they're all Browns fans, they're all Buckeyes fans. Dominates the state. It would be funny if after the hugabaloo that Ohio State Buckeyes fans have made over the Michigan scandal, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that they have undoubtedly made a lot of noise, made a lot of complaints, a lot of Connor Stallions jokes. It would be very funny if it came out that the Cleveland Browns were cheating in some scenario at home, stealing the opposing team signs. That would be funny. And you gotta admit, that'll be funny. We're doing conspiracies here in the final 15 minutes of Off the Bench. That's what you get when Tom's not here. You get conspiracy hour. Casey, any sports conspiracies?
Ooh, sports conspiracies. I don't have any off the top of my head, to be honest with you. But the Browns one, I think, is
something stinks there.
There's something fishy there. I will say it feels like when a team, and it's not even like it's like the turf field or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like it's grass, right? There's no, I don't know. It just feels off. There's something weird about it. I don't like it. I mean, it was like historically great, right? I mean, 13 points a game, that's historic. Is it not?
Yeah.
And then they go to be the worst defense in the league? Just does not make sense at all. I don't like it.
I don't have a conspiracy, but I think I want to introduce my next new segment real quick, if that's okay. Really bad at transitions. I didn't have time to make any graphics for this. I will work on that going forward. But I want to introduce this. It's gonna be called, I'm going to ask each of you guys, would you watch this tonight? And I'm going to list 5 things tonight, and I'm going to tell you all about it, and you're going to tell me, would you watch it? Okay, up first, tonight at 7 p.m., South Florida taking on number 10 Memphis, ESPN. Will you watch it tonight?
No.
Casey?
Does anyone have any money on it tonight in
No.
this room? Then
I don't.
no.
Not yet.
No.
I will
Not
also not be watching. Thank you, ESPN. On 8 p.m. on CBS, a rerun of Young Sheldon. Now, if you don't know, Young Sheldon is the Bazinga, indeed. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Young Sheldon is the child version of the adult Sheldon shown in The Big Bang Theory. He has his own show, and I believe now they're introducing another spinoff about Young Sheldon's parents. So they'll have 3 Young Sheldon shows, all regarding the adult Sheldon, which had 12 or 14 seasons, Big Bang Theory. But anyway, 8 p.m., CBS, rerun of Young Sheldon.
No. I will not be watching Young Sheldon.
Casey?
Elliot, I worked for a CBS affiliate and Channel 12 for about 2 years, having to watch Young Sheldon on some of my shifts. So I will not ever be partaking in watching anything regarding the CBS lines of television. So, yeah.
That's fair. All right, Casey's on the CBS. What about you? What about you, Lindsay?
No.
Young Sheldon, not tuning in tonight.
Not for me.
Damn. I have a conspiracy theory about Young Sheldon. Clearly, that kid has got a hold of some executive forcing them to make that terrible show. Young Sheldon, though, God bless his little heart. Tonight, 10 p.m. on Ion Television, a rerun of Chicago PD.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Who's your favorite character?
Mine's
Lori Lightfoot.
McNulty. Chain of Command McNulty.
I like McNulty, too. Casey, will you be watching 10 p.m., a rerun
Old
of
style.
Chicago PD?
Malort.
I will not be
Deep dish
watching.
pizza.
I will not be partaking in the rewatching of Chicago PD at 10 p.m. But I wouldn't mind watching a few episodes of Chicago PD at a later time.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
I like
okay.
procedural dramas. I like
I don't
Law and
like
Order
those.
SVU. I like sitting down, saying I've got an hour to kill. How am I gonna use one of my hours that I'm alive on this earth, and I want to see Mariska Hargitay solve a sex crime?
Tonight on FS1, 14th ranked Illinois taking on Michigan, 8:30 p.m. Michigan's head coach slap another coach.
See, that's how you address something you disagree with. Slapping guys.
Yeah, that's it. In the handshake line.
Yes, correct. No, I probably won't watch a whole lot of basketball tonight.
Damn. Casey, will you be tuning in tonight on FS1, 14th ranked Illinois taking on Michigan?
That's a good game. Michigan's terrible.
No.
No. Lindsay?
No.
Not quite. All right, and the last up, tonight at 9 p.m. on Fox, Gordon Ramsay's road trip. It's a lot like other Gordon Ramsay things, but this time he's on a road trip. I will not be tuning in.
You don't watch Gordon Ramsay's road trip?
No, I don't want to watch his road trip. I like when him and his daughter make like cooking videos on TikTok, though. That's fun.
I love cooking. Absolutely adore it. But I do not watch cooking shows. Do not.
I'll tell you what I will be watching.
Well, you didn't answer my question. Would you be watching Gordon Ramsay's road show on tonight? Okay. No. Lindsay? No, not quite. All right, go ahead.
Tell you what I will be watching, and it's something that I've started to get addicted to now.
Oh.
No one else here in this room is going to like it, probably. MTV's The Challenge.
I used to watch that as a kid.
Love it. And I used to think it was so stupid. I'm like, why wouldn't you just watch Survivor or something that's a little more realistic, or like Big Brother? No, it's still as entertaining as those shows. So I'll be watching that with my wife. It's something that we've grown to like.
They're still putting out that reality TV show. The Challenge is still being
going.
published for like 30 years now.
Yeah.
Love it.
My favorite part
Bring back
They
parental
still have
control.
bananas. They still got every single guy that you love. So
My favorite thing about big sporting events like the NFL playoffs is you'll see commercials for things you didn't know about previously, and they'll run it like several times over. The big one over this past weekend was Deal or No Deal.
It's back.
It's back, but they've gotten a new twist, and you'll never know. You'll never guess what it is.
What's the twist?
It's on an island. So it's Deal or No Deal, The Island.
Ooh.
So it's like the regular Deal or No Deal, except it's on an island. And it's, boy, is that going to be good. So tune into that. Thank you very much.
Is one of the deals like you get to stay on this island, or
I don't know. You just have to tune out. That's just one of the. That's just one
Whose
of the
island?
mysteries.
Is it a financier's island?
I don't. Wait, which financier?
New York financier. We got a super chat. Derby Stardom, $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Hire Lindsay permanently. She will bring good luck Super Bowl trophies to the Bengals. Take her away from the Steelers.
Ooh, what do you think?
You can't take me away from the Steelers. I've loved Steelers since I was born. Cannot go to the Bengals. My dad would kill me and disown me.
Do you guys hate the
How
the
much
Bengals
do you
more?
love your dad?
Do you hate the Ravens more? What team do you hate the most out
For
of the AFC?
NFL,
Yeah, or just the AFC North, the rivals.
it would have to be like Bengals because they hate the Steelers most, right? Don't you guys?
Yeah.
You hate the Bengals?
She
How
hates
many
the
wants me to
Bengals.
hate the Bengals? I don't hate any NFL team, but my family.
How many terrible towels does your family own?
So many. They went to a Steeler game, a few this year, and they brought back so many. So many. Our basement's filled.
Interesting.
I hate those towels. I hate those.
I hate those
gosh
towels,
darn-
too.
I can just imagine all the bathrooms. Just a little yellow towel. Every single oven with a little handle on it. It's got a little terrible towel on it. Is that the truth?
No, it's all in our basement. It's where that's decked out with
Hmm.
Steeler Penn State stuff.
So while we're talking about terrible TV, as we get into these final 5 minutes, thank you, Derby, for the super chats. We didn't have any other super chats today, did we?
I don't think so.
That was it. Thank you, Derby. I don't watch any reality television at all. Like, at all. My wife watches The Bachelor. I don't like Survivor. I don't like The Amazing Race. I don't like America's Got Talent. I don't like The Voice. I don't like anything that they have on MTV. I'm just not a reality TV show guy. I don't like it. I don't like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I don't like any of it. Do you guys find any of it entertaining? Like,
Oh yeah.
you love it.
Speaking of Gordon
You love-
Ramsay, I love the kitchen show he does, the competition.
Like Hell's
No,
Kitchen?
not that one. MasterChef. I watch
MasterChef.
MasterChef, not Hell's Kitchen. I love Survivor. I went during COVID. I went on. I'd never seen Survivor. I binged, no joke, 20 different seasons of Survivor. I've not seen every season, but I binge watched. It was COVID. Nothing counted during COVID. I watched 20 seasons. It was great. I love it.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. I love it. Winners at War. Shout out that season. That season's the best. Cook Islands too. I think I loved America's Got Talent for a long time. It's too much of a gimmick now, where it's like, I think they just did America's Got Talent fantasy camp, or so they'll draft their favorite former contestants of America's Got. It's silly. It's nonsense. But I did used to watch it.
You don't watch? Do you watch The Masked Singer?
I do not. That's so stupid that it's dumb. That's the dumbest thing that's ever been. If you sit down and watch The Masked Singer, I can't help you. There's something wrong with your brain, and I wish you the best.
Mr. Mo said my brain is smooth. That sounds like a compliment.
Hell yeah,
You've got a
Mr. Mo.
smooth
But I do like
brain.
reality TV.
The only reality TV I watch is The Challenge now. And it's only because they occasionally, like every season is different, of course, but they bring back some of the same cast from previous seasons while adding in some of the new. And they just create division and whatnot, and it makes it easy to like kind of follow. Like, Bananas and CT are good buddies, like just throughout the whole entire thing. You know that this person and that person don't like each other. So at the beginning of that season,
Right.
they're going to hate each other. And it's just interesting. I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. That
What a
was
show.
that was a fun show. Hopefully Tom's back tomorrow. We don't know if he will be. He's still, as we mentioned, put 50 comments in that Reds video that's going to premiere at 12 o'clock. And what are we doing? What are we giving them? Oh, we're giving them a live stream.
Yes.
So you got till about 3 p.m. today.
And we're not talking live chat. You have to comment on the video itself. 50 comments, 50 likes on the Nick Kirby video that's about to be posted.
2:30.
What?
2:30. They got till 2:30.
2:30. Okay. 2:30.
Because that's when we're going live. It's 2:30.
2:30.
2:30.
Reality show I do watch. I misspoke. Not much anymore. But in college, I refused to take classes at 11 a.m. The reason that I did not ever take a class at 11 a.m. my 4 years in college was because that was reader's time. I would sit down in front of my television and I would watch The Price is Right.
Ooh.
I adore The Price is Right. To this day, don't watch it much anymore, but The Price is Right is the best reality show on television. I'll hold that to the end of time. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Guys, this has been Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman, obviously Nicholas Reedmouse. Any cherry on tops? We'll say the cherry on top was the Texas thing.
Yeah, cherry on top.
Yeah, Rodney Terry is he's a perfect little cherry
The Terry on top.
The Terry on top. Nice. How
Thank
sweet.
you.
How sweet. I like the haircut. I like the shave.
I hate the shaven look. In fact, I might not ever shave again with all these comments in the chat. I'm getting disrespected that I look like a baby seal, and that's fine. You can call me whatever you want. I'm just saying I'm never going to shave again.
We'll see you guys. Justin Edgell has Arn Anderson as his profile picture because he says it looks like Casey.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. I used to watch WWE a lot. That's a reality show. Used to watch that quite a bit.
The other thing that just really quickly, Sir Boy's profile picture, it's very, I don't know if any of you looked at it as of late, but it's just my hand, and it's very, very awkward. It's just like this.
It's just your hand?
It's just my hand.
Grinding the peppa?
It's not grabbing the peppa, I hope. I hope it's not grinding any peppa. But it's very uncomfortable. I wish you would change it. I don't like my hands.
You don't like your hands?
No. It's weird.
I love your hands. Great hands. Fantastic hands.
Thanks, Reid.
We'll see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. sharp. Be sure we're going to redirect you to the interview. Kirby, Chatterbox Reds on the way.